Neville Goddard, 1965 lectures, The Fundamental Sin, June 25th, 1965. We just have a couple left tonight and next Tuesday night. Then we're closed for a little while, back on the 19th of October. I take it that most of you are on the list, so you'll receive a notice. If you're not on the list and you would like to receive a notice where we will be, may we have your name and address, because we have but two left. I thought we'd try to make this just as practical as possible, not omitting, of course, the most important thing of all, which is God's wonderful promise. When he says most practical, he means show me the money. Which we are told in Scripture that the fundamental sin in the world is man's lack of faith in I am He. If you want the quote, it's in the 8th chapter of the book of John. You'll find it confirmed in the 16th of John. You will die in your sins unless you believe I am He. You can take that literally. You may believe in this presence before you know from experience I am He. You don't have to wait for the experience when it's revealed to you by actual experience that you are the very being that conceived it all and played it all. You don't have to wait to that extreme. You can start believing it now and prove it. The day will come, you will know from experience, I am He. I just did a video in the lives. I did a live video where I broke down the law of reversibility. It's one of the more watched videos on this channel. And that law of reversibility, I talk about in there, I break it down that you can reverse, you want to create an experience, I am in a forward momentum, but you can also back into it because everything's in inverse proportionally available. Like electricity can create force. Electricity can move a motor's armature, force it to move, thereby creating force, but you can also, with force, create electricity. A good example is walking across a carpet and picking up the static electricity and then touching a doorknob and it discharges and you feel that shock. Force creates the electrical. Electrical can create the force. It's the same thing with how we create our reality. We can back into it. You can back into it with the way he's describing here, I am He. I've been using I am Jesus Christ as I fall to sleep, and my dreams have been off the hook. This mornings were very, very incredible. I was literally sharing wisdom with some people. We were at a restaurant bar top, like in an airport setting, and ordering food, and I was discussing about a lot of the things I'm discussing here, but just a few of them, and it was so clear and so real, and it was interaction with others too. It was fascinating, very, very fascinating. Seems to be coming alive in a different way with the I am Jesus Christ affirmation, visualization, just that blank being, just understanding that I am being, I am He, being, as my blank as I enter into my sats and as I fall asleep, and then I just stand by for the dreams. Wow. So that's the fundamental sin. Sin means missing the mark. Make a big note of this. Neville vocabulary. Sinning means missing the mark. Just plant that in there. If you do not believe that I am the one that I would like to be, if you do not believe that I am the one I would like to be, then you will miss the mark. You must dare to assume that I am the man or the woman that I want to be, so that I stop wanting it to be, so that I stop wanting to be it because I am it. Now, I know he's speaking to you first person. I was making that second person, but both ways it works. Because when we imagine loving for another, we're always going to imagine them to that place they want to be. Excuse me. You must dare to assume that I am the man or woman that I want to be, so that I stop wanting to be it because I am it. If I am it, then I will sleep in that state and view the world from it as though it were true. If I view the world from that state, I am putting this claim to a test, and I tell you from experience, it will become a fact in your world. Start to believe it before you actually know it from experience. But the day will come, you will know it from experience. Blake made this wonderful statement. He said, everything I have ever painted, Everything that I've ever drawn, everything that I have written came from vision. Pure, pure vision. I saw it. I experienced it. That's what Blake claimed. Now, this is what he claimed. This is in his wonderful book of Milton. God himself enters death's door, always with those who enter, and lays down in the grave with them in visions of eternity. Just think of it. God himself enters death's door, always with those who enter, and lays down in the grave with them in visions of eternity, till they awake and see Jesus and the linen clothes lying that the females had woven for them. Just imagine God himself entering death's door. What is death's door, and how did he enter with all who entered it and in it? He had these visions of eternity with those who entered. Then as he saw all these fabulous things, he waited till we would awake. So he equates death with sleep, this profound sleep, and he waited until the dream was over. And then as the dream is over, we see Jesus. And then we see the linen clothes that the females had woven for us. What sheer beauty and what depth he saw in that one little passage in the 32nd plate of Milton, exclamation point. Read it in the 32nd plate of Milton. Now, in the Word, he knew Greek, he knew Hebrew, Latin, Italian, French, and as a master of the English tongue. He never used a word carelessly, not Blake. He wasn't simply writing poetry. Not one word was used carelessly. So when he speaks of the linen clothes, in Hebrew, the word linen also means marble, to bleach, to whiten. You know, Blake knew all those languages, and he didn't even go to school. But it means marble. When they are made of marble, all the columns of marble, same word called linen. And now I will give you my experience that will simply corroborate all that he said in that one wonderful verse in Milton. God himself enters death's door, always with those who enter, lays down in the grave with them in visions of eternity, till they awake and see Jesus and the linen clothes lying that the females had woven for them. Well, my mother is a female. She wove this. Is this the linen cloth he speaks of? And is this linen cloth called my physical body also marble? Is it something that's dead? He said she wove this, meaning his physical garment. And is this linen cloth called my physical body also marble? Is it something that dead? Well, now let me go back and take the foundation of what I began this night. The fundamental sin is lack of faith in I am He. That's the fundamental sin. The word I am is the name of God in Hebrew. Go and tell them, I am has sent you. This is my name forever. Exodus 3:14. I have no other name. That is my name forever, and my name is in them. You say I am, and you say I am rich, I am poor, or I am this, or I am that. When you say God, you don't think I am He. Not for one moment does man think I am He. Unless you believe I am He, you die in your sins. John 8:24. For you think He is the creative power and the wisdom of the world that could do anything, but you don't say I am He. Now here in this statement concerning I am He, may I tell you, in Hebrew, Yod He Vav means to be, to become. But the primary meaning of this ancient root was to fall, to blow. The name Jehovah should be understood in terms of the ancient meaning of this root verb, which is to be. It means really to fall, to blow. So Jehovah is the falling one, or the one who causes to fall, the one who blows, or the one who causes the wind to blow. We come back then to the drama. There is only God. Only God, nothing but God. God falling into the limit of contraction, into the grave called man, the limit. And from that limit, he expands beyond what he was prior to the predetermined fall, taking with him all of us, individualized as himself. So here, the falling one, the one who caused us to fall. Now we go back to Blake. I do not consider the just or the wicked to be in a supreme state, but to be every one of them states of the sleep which the soul may fall into in its deadly dreams of good and evil when it leaves paradise following the serpent. Vision of Last Judgment, pages 91 to 92. You all know the story of the serpent, and you might think, how could that be a symbol of God? The Bible equates the Son of Man, who is the Son of God, with the serpent. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up. John 3:14. He equates the two, the serpent and the Son of Man. So here is God leading us, telling us the entire story. The whole story was told us in detail, the plan and the plot and the purpose of the play. Then come the words, now it is expedient for you that I go away, expedient for all of us that the visible presence disappear, and he who was amongst us now dwells in us. He dwells in us. Don't you say, I am? That's his name. Is there any child born of woman, even an idiot, an imbecile, who doesn't know that he is? Knowing that it is saying, I am. He enters death's door with me, with you, with everyone in this world, and he lays down in the grave in visions of eternity. Well, visions of eternity, tell me this then is a dream, and the Bible recognizes only one source of dreams. All dreams proceed from God. John 33:15 and Numbers 12:6. And they gave his name. His name is I am. If I believe that, and this is a dream, and it is, I can dream the kind of dream that I want to dream. Most profound and most true, let me repeat it. And they gave me his name. His name is I am. If I believe that, and this is a dream, I can dream the kind of dream that I want to dream. You can't stop me from my daydreams, and the daydream doesn't differ from the night dream, not in essence. In the daydream, one is in control. In the night dream, one is not in control. One is usually the victim or the servant of vision. And in my dreams I was describing a little while ago about this morning, I was literally, it seemed so natural and so coming from me, the conversation that I was creating. It was just so natural. It felt like I was in control, per se, because of what I was saying, which is what I would normally say to open-minded audience of these few people that were right there. Both of these people were workers behind the restaurant top. In the night dream, one is not in control. One is usually the victim or the servant of vision. But in daydream, one is master of vision. That's why I brought up, I felt like I was in control of my conversation. But in daydream, one is master of vision. So here I share with them visions of eternity. If this is true, you and I and every child in this world who believes it, before they actually know it from experience, can bring to pass in their world exactly what they want, if they really believe it. For it's the lack of faith in I am He that is the fundamental sin. If I really believe that I am He and He is dreaming in me, and all things are possible to God, and I am He, well then, I can start to dream and put this belief to the test. I say test it in the most mundane, simple things and watch the win. I've described it in my previous live, and basically I come up to an intersection close to my house, and I said it on the video before, and I've created a belief that when I arrive at this particular intersection, it's a four-way stop sign, that it'll be my turn to go no matter what. Whether there's cars there or not, right when I arrive and come to my full stop, it's usually my turn to immediately proceed. It's either always empty, or there's always one car turning right ahead of me that's facing me, or there's one car that just left. Every time. And I believe that. I'm casting that into a belief, a solid belief. And every time I come to that intersection, no matter what time of day it is, it literally is my turn to go. Now I'm creating a belief. I'm dreaming that into existence in this awake dream. So no matter what happens in my awake dream, when I enter that intersection, it literally is exactly the way I dreamed it. This is a nice, simple example. Create it for anything simple so you see the win. So you feel the win. You feel what it feels like to be victorious over your physical reality. Because you always have been. You just haven't had the conscious awareness of it. Although reality has always been there as an echo for you anyway, now you're taking conscious control of what you're doing in it, in the dream. Because it is a dream. The day will come, I will know I am He. But before it comes to that day, I can believe it and put it to the test. Take any request in this world, your own desire to be what you want to be, or the desire of the seeming other, represent the other to yourself, or represent yourself to yourself and use others as the barometer, as the frame of reference that would reflect the man that you want to be. That is like imagining somebody congratulating you on your new success, on your new opportunity, on your newfound wealth, on your new marriage, your new relationship, your new health, how you're so active now on the bicycle or walking or jogging or walking your dog or whatever it is. Somebody's congratulating you. That's the barometer that you're seeing your new success about yourself, first person. Then the other one is, that's people congratulating you. The other one is you're hearing congratulations about others or offering your own congratulations about another's success. You're imagining lovingly for another. Were I the man that I want to be, my circle of friends would know it. Well, then see my circle of friends knowing it. Were you the man that I want you to be, I would know it. Well then, let me see myself knowing that you are such a man. Let me represent you to myself as I would see you were you the man I want you to be, and see you and believe I am He creating this condition. If I do believe in the reality of God, and God's name is I am, and He now disappears from visible sight, and He takes up residence in me, and I am He before I actually know I am He, I can believe I am. And then test it and try it. This is very practical. He's giving very practical advice right here. Literally step by step on how to test it. Literally. Well, how will I know? Will there come a day when I will actually know I am He? Yes, there will. This world's divided into a pre-resurrection period and a post-resurrection period. Wow. And the whole vast world seems to be almost to the nth degree a pre-resurrection period. So they must believe in I am He. The post-resurrection period, they know I am He. And I'm telling you from my own personal experience, you know it when it fills you from the sole of your foot to the top of your head, above here, below there. All of you is filled up with I am He. You just know it. Whether you remember your mystical experiences or not, it doesn't make a difference. When you know I am He, and if you don't have that feeling yet, you can start to instigate that feeling by, as you fall to sleep, I am He. And in your daydream, you're driving your car, turning left turn on a street, I am He. You can say it any way you want, but it's I am He making this left turn. I am He buying this laundry soap. I am He eating this sandwich. I am He, I am He. So you can back into it too. It's the law of reversibility. For He enters death's door always with those who enter, and lays down in the grave with them in visions of eternity till they awake. Well, how do they awake? He equates death with sleep, so he lays down in death. God dies. God becomes man that man may become God. Unless I die, you cannot live, but if I die, I shall arise again, and you with me. So he empties himself of his godhood and limits himself to man. As told in Philippians, he emptied himself and took upon himself the form of a slave and became obedient unto death and was found in the form of man. 2:7. So he enters death's door, which is man. One of the most profound things said in, I think it's Genesis, right? He became man that man may become God. God became man that man may become God. And it's one of the most, I think in all of these, besides I am that I am, the most profound of all of these quotes that Neville throws around constantly, God became man that man may become God, is one of the most profound in definition for me. I gotta share that. It makes complete and total sense. And there's a sense of the loss of the concept of loneliness when you realize, in truth, if I am he, I'm not alone. And in fact, I've never been alone. You're never walking alone. When we take exactly what we just described right here in this last paragraph, you're never alone. You've never been alone. You never will be alone. You have the power of the ability to dream any life into existence, literally daydream it into existence. But you start with the root, I am he. Now, how will I know? Not simply believe I am he, but know I am he. He enters death's door, which is my own skull, which is your skull, all the skulls of every child born of woman. And then comes this moment in time. Remember the word he, vow, he, which is the root of yod, he, vow, he, has the primary meaning not only of the falling one, but the blower, the one who causes the wind to blow. That was the primary meaning of that verb, which is the root from which yod, he, vow, he, which is Jehovah, has been derived, which is called the God of the universe. Suddenly you feel the wind. It's like a vibration. It's something you can't describe, save, well, the best I can say is a wind, but it is an unearthly wind. Strangely enough, you feel yourself awakening. Well, night after night, you've gone to sleep and you wake in the morning, and one morning you are more awake than others, but the normal waking on your bed. This is not a normal waking. You hear and feel the wind. The blower is not beginning to blow, and you begin to awake. The blower is now beginning to blow, and you begin to awake, and you awake in your skull. You know it to be a tomb. There is no doubt in your mind where you are. You're in your skull, but in your skull, you know you're completely sealed in, and you are alone. As you're told, Jesus only. There's no one else. The word Jesus and the word Jehovah are the same. Jehovah, Joshua, Jesus, Jesse have the same root of he, vow, he. So here suddenly you begin to awake and you are in your skull and you stand up in your skull as the man you were when you went to sleep the night before. And you wake. As you wake, finding yourself completely entombed, you have one consuming desire, to get out! Exclamation point. So you push the base of your skull and something rolls away. As it rolls away, you come out just like a child being born. As you come out and you stand, that linen cloth, which is nothing more than your body, it's bleached. It's ghastly white like marble. You look at it and here is this marble, this thing out of which you just emerged. And the wind is still all over the place. You turn away for a moment to see if it's coming from that direction. And in that moment, this marble or linen cloth is removed. As you look back, it is gone, but the witnesses of the event, the witnesses to the event appear. There they come. You didn't see them approaching any more than you saw them in the book, the 18th chapter of Genesis, verse 1. He received the promise. He looks up and here stands before him 3 men. This is Abraham. The promises are all made to Abraham. This drama takes place in us, every one of us, individually. Remember, Abraham, the word means faith. So you see them, they witness the event by a child wrapped in swaddling clothes, but they can't see you because you are born from above. That which is born of flesh is flesh. They could have seen you were at a fleshly birth, but that which is born of spirit is spirit. And no mortal eye can see it. So you are now born from above. And you are alone. So you are told, Jesus only. So when Blake was asked, what do you think of Jesus? He said, Jesus is the only God, but so am I, and so are you. I'm trying to tell you this night that you are Jesus Christ. You are Jesus Christ in the present level. If you've not been born from above in what I call the pre-resurrection period, you will be Jesus Christ in the post-resurrection period. And because in the post-resurrection period there is only Jesus Christ, you are Jesus Christ resurrecting, the risen Lord. And there is only one. God is not two. God is one, and his name is one. So as you are resurrected, every being that is on this side of the level, when resurrected, is incorporated into the same body without loss of identity. No loss of that distinctive individuality, just one and yet only one body. You will wear that one body. And then I tell you from experience, I am not theorizing. I am not speculating. I'm telling you what I have experienced. That every person in this world will be resurrected and incorporated into the body of God without loss of their specific identity, that one being wearing the body of God. But I ask you tonight, until it happens, believe it. Believe in him. And his name is I am. The day will come, you will not only believe that I am rich and get wealth, I am known and be known. I am whatever you name and get it but you will know that I am he. Repeating the sentence, the day will come. You will not only believe that I am rich and get wealth, I am known and be known. I am whatever you name and get it, but you will know that I am he. Again, not having the experiences yet, the mystical experiences, doesn't matter. If you believe I am he, you're using the law of reversibility and backing into it. Just believe I am he as you fall asleep. I am he. And then do your regular visualization of the new you. I am wealthy. I am known. I am famous. Whatever it is. I am in love and married. Whatever. I am healthy. It doesn't matter. But remember, you're doing it from an I am he. So you're giving more power. You're punching it up with power. And in my true mind, in my belief, you're expediting it. That the being spoken of in Scripture as God, unless you believe I am he, you die in your sins. Well, you'll stop dying in your failures by assuming that I am the man, the woman that I want to be. And I'll live in it. Come what may, I'll live in it just as though it were true, and it will become a fact, what I'm assuming that I am. The day will come from experience, not from theory, not from anything that anyone tells me, from actually experiencing it. I will know I am he. For this is how he is born. As we're told in the book of Peter, we are born anew through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. 1 Peter 1:13. Now he equates death with this profound sleep, and I can't tell anyone what it feels like to awaken from this sleep. You only know you must have been dead by reason of the fact you are in a tomb, and only the dead are placed in a tomb. So you found yourself in your skull, and the skull was a sepulcher. It was a tomb. Finding yourself there, you know someone thought you dead enough to put you there because you seemed so dead. Then the wind blew upon you, for he, the falling one that caused the whole thing, entered death's door with you and fused with you, and the two became one. So God entered with you what he wanted really to be individualized himself as, and you were unique in his play. He fused with you and ceased to be God and became you. Then you rose as God. This is the story. He leaves all things, cleaves to his wife, and they become one, so that you, the soul, you are the emanation of God. My emanation, yet my wife, till the sleep of death is over. Genesis 2:24. When the sleep of death is over, God fuses with man, and I am he, and we aren't two, just one. So here, in this wonderful story, before you actually know from experience that I am he, you can put him to the test by assuming I am, and you name it. I am known, I am wanted, I am healthy, I am this, that, or the other, and dare to assume it. For this is the only creative power in the world. This is the only creative power in the world. You've been using it unconsciously already all this time, and it puts you exactly where you are. You're already good at it. You're already very good at this. This is not something new. It's just something that you have not been conscious of. You've been doing it unconsciously already wonderfully well. It's exactly why you are exactly where you are. And if you have a desire to be somewhere else, you can consciously direct your daydream to be that somewhere else, someone else. Lovely sentence. I am known, I am wanted, I am healthy, I am this, that, or the other, and dare to assume it, for this is the only creative power in the world. And if you do, you will become it. Then in time, when you least expect it, you will awaken in your skull, and then you will know the truth of the vision of Scripture. Truth of a vision of a man like Blake. He sees everyone in this world sound asleep, falling knowingly or unknowingly into states. Knowingly is what we want. And he doesn't consider the wise man or the foolish man, the just man or the wicked man to be in supreme states, but all of them states of the sleep into which the soul may fall in its deadly dreams of good and evil, as it leaves paradise following the serpent. From Vision of Last Judgment, pages 91 to 92. The serpent leads us out. The symbol of God himself. So then the serpent leads you out of this heavenly state of innocence into the state of experience. Then to lead you into the state of imagination. Very important trinity of experience that we go through. We go from innocence, where we don't know anything about the law, nor can we be considered accountable for our misuse of it. We just don't know. We're innocent. Then we go into experience, where we have sin, because once you have experience, then you're aware of sinning. You're aware of missing the mark. You're aware of not using your imagination, I am he, in the regard to who you want to be. You're aware of it, but you're not applying it. You're being a hearer and not a doer. So in that practice, you go from innocence, where forgive them for they know not what they do, to experience, where you know better. And you can't get out of that. Once you know better, you know better. If you've been here and gone through the law series of videos, and now you're here in these law and the promise videos, you now are experienced because you're aware of it. You can't go back. You can't go back into the matrix. You're on a new level, and it's okay. It's a responsible level where you can create whatever you want for yourself or for everybody around you. I love that. Then we go to the state of imagination, where we literally imagine everything consciously. We imagine the success of a niece or a nephew or a grandchild or a great-grandchild. Whatever in your world experience, you just imagine how wonderfully brilliant they're going to be through all the years of school, how wonderfully educated they're going to become, or whatever it is they want to do. It doesn't even matter about education. It matters about what is it that they wish to be. All kids have a dream of something they want to be. You just got to talk to them and ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? When you grow up. Once you know, then you can imagine lovingly. So now you're in imagination and you're casting these imaginings all over the place. For everybody at the traffic light, like I say all the time, for the motorcyclist that's trying to cut me off and is at the high risk, for these little kids on electric bikes, whole mackerel. Or this little gang of mini bikers. I don't know if you guys are aware of what the mini bike term is. It's the ones that are motorized mini bikes. There was a whole gang load of them that came down the street. We were out to eat yesterday, and they were coming down the street, like just a whole bunch of them. And they're like little engines, like not electric. They were little, bzz, they were like a buzzing sound, like a mini bike. There was at least a dozen of them going down the street, and boy, were they loud. And I mean, you're always casting an imagination of lovingly towards anything you're seeing. That's when you're in imagination. You go from innocence to experience to imagination. You see the active, literal, active, live, real-time imaginings happening. Parking spaces, like I say all the time. Imagining lovingly for homeless, imagining lovingly for the motorcyclist, imagining lovingly for Elohim, for everybody. I mean, it does take a little bit of effort because you're walking and talking and you're living life, but it's like, okay, that's the place you're at. That's the ability of your skill level now after experience. I'm sure he's about to break it down, but I thought I'd throw that in there. For that is the process: innocence, experience, imagination, where one completely rises into a world of imagination where everything is subject to his imaginal power. Everything. He is God awakened. So he comes from innocence into this horror of experience. As warned us in the book of Genesis 15:13, you will be strangers in a land that you will be afflicted. All things will happen to you and you will be hurt for 400 years. The symbol of this body. For 400 is simply the numerical value of the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet, whose symbol is the cross. So it's this cross, right, called Tau. So here I am on the cross. Until I am taken off the cross, I go through all the afflictions of the world. As told us in Isaiah now, I have tried you in the afflictions. I have tried you in the furnace of afflictions. For my own sake I do it. For my glory I will not give to another. Isaiah 48:10. He cannot give his glory to another, so he has to form you into his image. And then fuses with you so that when you wake, there is only one, not two. There were two while the struggle is on until finally you awake. And there's only one, and you are he. You come out to find yourself completely one with the risen Christ, not less than one with. You wear the body of the risen Christ without loss of your own wonderful identity. And everyone will be redeemed, not one will be lost. So when you see it, you realize your Creator and Redeemer and yourself are one. Your Creator, your Redeemer, and you are one. It was only God all along. It was God who decided to restrict himself to the state called death, called man, for a purpose of expansion beyond what he was prior to that moment of the decision to transcend his translucence, and by this restriction to the opacity of man, the limitations of man, the contraction of man, and then to burst forth and come out as God, but greater than he was. Meaning that truth is an ever-increasing illumination. There's no limit to the expansion of God. So he expands himself and then once more conceives a play of contraction to expand beyond what he was. And it goes on forever. You and I are individualized in the body of God, wearing the body of God. Now tonight you can test it. You can't test the body of God that I tell you is a foregone conclusion. I've experienced it, but you can test the power and the wisdom of God by daring to believe I am. And you name the man you want to be or the lady you want to be. Dare to assume it! Exclamation point. Regardless of what the world will say, dare to assume it. And sleep as though it were true. You will become it in this world. And then, like a thief in the night, when you least expect it, suddenly the wind will come upon you. When that wind blows upon you, you begin to awake. Then you understand the words in the 3rd chapter of John. The wind blows where it will, and you hear the sound of it, but you do not know where it comes from or where it goes. You cannot tell. But in this very manner, every man who is born in the Spirit is born. Just as the wind comes, you hear it, you cannot tell whence it comes or whither it goes. But so is everyone who is born of the Spirit. John 3:8. It's a strange, peculiar wording, but that's true. Suddenly you feel it, you hear it, you are born from above. You come out of your skull alone, and all of the symbolism of Scripture is present, and you observe it. Then you wake in this world to ponder it and contemplate it, and wonder what on earth you ever did to warrant it. Therefore, I can say to everyone, no one can brag. It's a gift! Exclamation point. And like Neville says, you'll wonder why you. You've done this misdeed and that misdeed and maybe 1,000 misdeeds. How could this happen to you? I can say to everyone, no one can brag. It's a gift. No one ever earns it. No one. You could not, between now and eternity, be good enough to earn it. What determines that moment in time when God blows upon you to awaken you and gives you himself completely? I do not know. I only know it's a gift, and in Scripture it's called grace. Grace is the gift of God himself to man. Unearned, unmerited. You can't acquire it by merit. I am not saying you should not try to be lovely and wonderful in this world, certainly. Be kind, be generous, be loving, be everything in this world that's noble. I find it easier to live that way with myself, but I must confess it's not because I try to live that way that he blew upon me and awoke me from this long, long, profound sleep, which was likened to death. It happened to me in the beginning of 2022. I discovered Neville 1/1 of 2022. 3 most amazing lectures. I think one was called I Am, one greater than John, and what was the other one? The Pearl of Great Price. Very fast succession. I had that wind blow upon me, the back of my head. I had already had many years of experience with lucid dreaming and out-of-body experiences, etc. So this just seemed like another one of those, a different launch, if you will. I had it at least 2 or 3 times, that wind, in February / maybe a little bit of March of 2022. But I had already gone through many years of studying the Seth material and working with my dreams, understanding them, flying in my dreams, lucid dreaming, awake in your dream, out-of-body experiences, many, 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 flying through walls, flying over cities, all of that fun stuff. It's a blast. It's actually a lot of fun. Then the wind came 2 or 3 times. Then I've had these other mystical experiences. They are profound, but it just shows, it starts to fill you with the concept that I am he. You start to become filled with it. It doesn't even, it's not an outside thing anymore. It's a more of a I am he. You're not separate. There is no separation. In fact, like I say many times, division left me. The concept of being able to divide and be discriminative towards people or things just left. Now we're all one. Each individual I see is me. You start to see the echo of you is on the whole screen of space that you're looking at. It's a different understanding, and it's a continual understanding. It's a new place. It's a new world. And so we're told that he enters death's door. It's true. Death's door is your own wonderful skull. And he lays down in the very grave with man who enters with him. They enter seemingly as two. What was man then? Man was only his emanation. So you go back and you read the story, and who then is that first Adam, and who is the emanation of Adam that we call Eve? Is this not the whole story? Because he himself enticed us out of that picture. He enticed the woman. She was man, and yet he symbolized as the serpent. Now listen to these words that always shock people. Last year in New York City, this teacher who teaches all over the Eastern Coast, so she came home and paid a visit. Something prompted this remark, but she was being so good, so holy, so altogether righteous. And I said to her, do you not know that God and God himself consigned all men to disobedience that he may have mercy upon all? She almost went through the ceiling in my hotel. I said, well, you teach the Bible, don't you? We'll go and we'll get the Bible now, 11th chapter. I think it's the 32nd verse of the book of Romans. For God has consigned all men, not a few, all men, to disobedience that he may have mercy upon all, not just a few. It was God who brought himself out, his emanation, into this world of experience and consigned us all to disobedience. He disappeared from view and became an indwelling presence. And we made idols after what we thought was the cause of the phenomena of life. We made totem poles. We made all kinds of things, forgetting who the God was. We keep on making more and more little gods on the outside. So he made us become disobedient, that he may have mercy upon all. As Blake said, if I were pure, never would I have known of a God of mercy. If I were pure. But because I am disobedient, I made all the idols in the world and believed in astrology, believed in numerology, believed in teacup leaves, believed in Stalin, believed in Mao Zedong, in all the powers on the outside. I thought they were my saviors, everything on the outside, because I forgot the only God in the universe. I'm speaking from experience. That was my path, and I did it for decades. Seth was the main body of work, which is very similar to Neville, that my teacher and myself were deeply embedded with. We taught classes. We had weekly meetups. We had meetups on the weekends. We had our own Tuesday night class, following in line with Jane Roberts' Tuesday night ESP class. We kind of kept that kind of a tradition, and we always were reading the Seth books. I would do the reading just like I'm doing now and breaking it down. That was the main bulk and body of work that we studied, and it was a very wonderful teaching, believe me. The astrology, the numerology, the palmistry, the tarot, and all these other divinatory type of studies were a gateway to go into the Seth material, which is very fascinating because it is an outside thing. Those studies are an outside thing, not an inner thing. So when you forget about the inner, you're looking at your reflection, trying to find meaning. And that's what I did. I was looking at my reflection, trying to find meaning. What's with the rhythm of all this craziness? And oh, there's definition here. Let me dig deeper. And believe me, I am very glad I did. And very glad with my relationship with those studies and with my teacher. And then with the study of the Seth material, which carried literally was the very bulk of it all. Don't regret one moment at all. But I do like the entertainment value when he goes into this, and I want to repeat it. But because I am disobedient, I made all the idols. Remember, being disobedient, okay? I made all the idols in the world and believed in astrology, believed in numerology, believed in teacup leaves, believed in Stalin, believed in Mao Zedong, in all the powers on the outside. I thought they were my saviors. Everything on the outside, because I forgot the only God in the universe. The only God in the world is your own wonderful human imagination. That's God. But it's hidden from view. You can't see his face until you awake and know that you are he. And so until that moment comes, believe in the reality of your own imaginal acts. They'll prove themselves in the testing. That day when he breathes upon you and you stir yourself and you feel yourself waking, and may I tell you, it's a peculiar waking. It's unlike any waking that you've ever known in the 6,000 years of your sleep. You've never known such a waking. It's a peculiar waking. It's waking, all right. You know you're waking, but it's so unlike any waking you've ever had. I have had gas in the dentist chair. I have had other forms of sleep where I had a major operation. I have had all kinds of sedation where you come through from the sleep, but nothing like this. When I came out of my dentist chair in Atlanta, Georgia, having taken gas for an extraction, it was an awakening, and I must have talked in my sleep, but it was a normal waking. And when I had a major operation about 15 years ago and came out of that state, that was returning to this world, this level. But this is something entirely different. Something is applied to your head like some wonderful vibration, and it's applied, and it's applied, and it's applied. And you can't stop it. You feel yourself waking, but the waking is so unlike any waking you've ever known before. Again, I thought it was another out-of-body launch, a form of a launch. Being sucked out of the back of your head and through your headboard and through the house and just going at high speed through light, through sound, through thunder, through wind, at a very high speed. I just thought it was another OOBE, out-of-body experience. You wake to find yourself in a grave. The grave is your skull, and there you are entombed. For if I am entombed in the skull, I couldn't have placed myself there. How could I have gone there unless I walked in and then fell asleep and died? But someone must have put me there. I have no knowledge of going in there. And yet Blake, in his vision, said that God himself enters death's door, always with those who enter. Yet we're told in Scripture, no one enters voluntarily, so someone carried me there. For the 8th chapter of the book of Romans, that the creature was made subject unto futility, not willingly, but by reason of the will of him who subjected him in hope. What was the hope? That he would obtain the glorious liberty of the children of God. Verse 20. So no one enters this state called death willingly. So someone subjected me and subjected you to this state. And when you wake, you're going to find yourself in the grave. And the grave is going to be your skull. It doesn't matter if one dies here tonight, you don't die anyway. You're already dead. Now that's the biggest red pill among all of this. And then taking responsibility for you creating your own reality. Your imagination creates reality. It's a fact, Jack. You can't die if you're already dead. Neville's been saying this in a very strong undercurrent in a lot of what we've been describing in a lot of these lectures. You're already that which you have maybe even have a fear of. You're already there. So the only thing you can do is awake from there. You're asleep in there as you are now. It's all a dream. So you awake from there. Very advanced to some not advanced. And when you wake, you're going to find yourself in the grave, and the grave is going to be your skull. It doesn't matter if one dies here tonight. You don't die anyway. You're already dead. Now, may I quote you from Scripture? Revelation, the 1st chapter, 18th verse of Revelation, I was dead and now I am alive forevermore. That is the 1st chapter, the 18th verse, the 3rd chapter, the 1st verse, 18th verse. Now, the 3rd chapter, the 1st verse, you have the name of being alive and you are dead. Here is one making the confession he actually was dead, but now alive forevermore. And you have the name of being alive and you are dead. He's telling this to Sardis, the whole vast world. You believe you are alive, and I tell you that you are dead. But because I was dead, and I am now alive forevermore, have faith. I am only the first of those who rose from the dead. That's what he's saying. And because I, too, was once with the name of being alive and was dead, and having been dead, and now I'm alive forevermore. I tell you that though you seem to be, you have the name of being alive, but I tell you that you are dead, but you will be alive, and all will be one. That's what he's saying to us in the book of Revelation. Everyone will awake to find there is no other. And because only Jesus Christ is risen from the dead, and you rise, and then you know who you are. There is only Jesus Christ. So when Blake was asked, what do you think of Jesus? He's the only God, but so am I, and so are you. For in the end, his name is one, and he is one. There's nothing but God. All of us rise into one body, and that one body will be God, and you will be God. Not a little God. You are wearing the body of the glorious God. You will be he without any loss of identity. Now tonight, you try to believe in I am he until that moment in time comes when you will have the experience that I am he. Now let us go into the silence. This is your time to practice that. Let us go. Okay, now we're going to drum up 3 long inhalations. And on the third one, we're going to do a big snapshot into our mind, and we're going to open our eyes to it, and it's going to be like a flash. Here's the second inhalation. And at the top of this third one, we're going to be like a big flash, like a camera flash, right into our mind of what we're affirming, I am he. Here we go. It's very interesting how the speed of light goes really fast over the horizon of your mind when you open your eyes. Very fascinating to me. Let me call your attention to the book table. You'll find my books and other books I recommend on the table, so on your way out, you can browse around. No one will force you to buy anything. Now, I do know where I will be when I return in October. I will be at 6005 Sunset, and the entrance is on Gorham, but the building fronts Sunset. This place is unavailable. I love this place. I've been here for 9 years. I always loved every moment of it, but at the moment, this club is unavailable. So we found our friend Harry Smith, who owns the building, and this is on the street level. There's no elevator and no walk-up. It's right off the street level, and it's 6005 Sunset. That's Sunset Boulevard. I'm sure it's Hollywood. We will be there on the 19th of October, beginning the usual time at 8. He's very gracious. He's allowing me to have all the Tuesdays and Fridays throughout the entire season. He'll rearrange his schedule to fit my Tuesdays and Fridays, so there will be no unbroken Tuesday and Friday pattern when I open on the 19th of October. We're leaving in a few days after we close for San Francisco, and then we're going to New York City for a few weeks, 6 or so, and back in time to open on the 19th of October. Are there any questions, please? Question, when will you be speaking in San Francisco? I start on the morning of the 11th at the Women's Club or Women's Club. It's right back at the hotel. It's right back of the hotel where we're living, the St. Francis. That's the St. Francis Drake, as a matter of fact. In fact, it's the same block on Post. Post Street intersects Powell, and the hotel is Powell and Post. And this is right back. In fact, it's not the length of the room between the exit from the hotel on Post to the entrance to the Women's Club. It's a very nice walk. That, too, is off the street level. There's no elevator. You just simply come right in. Question, inaudible. Answer, collapsing of time. Well, this happened to me many years ago in New York City. I was reading the 14th chapter of the book of John. It begins, you believe in God, believe in me also. In my Father's house are many mansions. Were it not so, I would have told you. Now I go and prepare a place for you, and if I go, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. Verses 1 to 3. One of my favorite quotes. Well, the Bible is on 3 levels. As told us in Ecclesiastes, there are 3, like the ark. The ark is built on 3 levels. And so we're told in Ecclesiastes, everything's on 3 levels. This level, what we're looking at, then a psychological level, and a spiritual level. So I thought, if this be true, it may mean this, and I experimented. I will now assume that this is not Wednesday and this day is Sunday. And what I desired on Wednesday, I have realized. It was only a desire like an egg unfertilized. It's talking about collapsing time. Well, on Sunday, it's hatched out. I have now realized what on Wednesday I desired. I went to the meeting that night and asked everyone present to join with me in the experiment. Just to experiment. It costs you nothing. I believe this to be the true interpretation on the psychological level, not the spiritual, on the psychological level of this statement. Well, and a lady in my audience had a few apartment buildings. She was a widow and her husband left her just these apartments in Brooklyn, and they were practically empty. They were in a very rundown neighborhood and everything was just simply down to the very bottom. So she thought I would try it. This was now the first week of October. She crossed out a little note on the calendar, the 28th day of October, and she felt the reality of the 28th day and felt that they're all rented. Within a matter of days, they began to fill up. On the 28th, every unit was rented in the 2 apartment buildings and they had been completely vacant. I said to her, tell me, what prompted you to use the 28th? Was it an anniversary, say a wedding anniversary, or your husband, who's now gone from this world, his birthday? She said, no, I needed a loan from the bank. I couldn't go to the bank and get a loan if they were all empty. They wouldn't give me anything. But if I could go and say they're all filled up, they could come and investigate and I'd get a loan, because I do need a loan to repair them and to paint the place and make it presentable. That's the only reason she picked the 28th. That's the only reason she picked out the date, the 28th, so she'd get it before the end of the month. She made the 28th natural. I can see her now, a very sweet lady. She was a widow, left 2 parcels, but they were not really productive until she heard this psychological interpretation of that first 3 verses of the 14th chapter of John. So that's the collapsing of time. So I say tonight, for instance, this is now the month of June. Well, can't you feel what it would be like in the fall of the year or Christmas? If you could wait that long, or you could just feel, haven't you said time and time again, it feels like Sunday? And yet it was Wednesday. Now, what made you feel Sunday? Then you must have certain associations with the day of a week, of the day of the week called Sunday. Well, you can feel it's Monday. You can feel it almost feels like Monday. Why does it feel like Monday? I must have certain associations with Monday. Well, you have associations with every day of the week, plus seasons of the year. You, blank space, it's spring, it's summer. Why today at my home it really felt like fall? I turned on the heat and here it's June. So what made me feel that it's fall? The weather. Well, one could feel a coolness if they really want to feel the fall weather. So you use your imagination to extend your feeling. As Blake said, imagination is spiritual sensation. So I stretch out my feeling and feel what I want to feel. So you can collapse time in that way on this level. But I do believe when it comes to the spiritual level, I'll go back to the book of Acts. It is simply the Father, and the Father knows, and He alone knows. It's not for you to know the times and the seasons that the Father has appointed by His own authority. But wait until you are endowed with the power from above. Acts 1:7. So that is on the spiritual level, which is the awakening from within you. You can't force it. That's one thing you cannot force. There will be no miscarriage on that level. None whatsoever. No one will actually force it. You can't force, blank space, the birth from above. On this level, I think we're allowed to do all kinds of things, but on the spiritual level, that which God conceived himself to be when he entered death's door with you had its own appointed hour, and it ripens and it will flower. And all you and I have to do is simply wait. The whole thing comes up. Can't lose it. No one can lose it. And may I tell you, no one in the end will be better than the other. No one will be more noble than the other, because you can't be more noble than God. And God is the ultimate, and that's what you're going to be. So no one can brag. For of all, it's a gift anyway. And if it's a gift, how can anyone brag? If you hear anyone brag here, just walk away. He hasn't had it. He will, and then he won't brag. Any other questions, please? Remember, we're closing next Tuesday, and it's not a long interval, really, between Tuesday the 29th of June and the 19th of October. But I do wish that in the interval that you will really go to town in application of this wonderful principle. And then share with me all the good news that you're going to have if you really apply it. So I may tell your stories to the audience when I reopen in late October. For nothing encourages anyone more than the success of one who heard it and applied it. So you try it and you will succeed. And then I will be able to tell others. Question. I was wondering about how many, blank space, actually attain this in your experience. I think the question is about the promise, but we'll find out right now. Well, sir, I believe that many have. I'm not in a position to judge. I am not a judge of the experiences of others, because if I say that my mother had me in a certain way and my niece had a child, 4 so far, in a different way, that because my mother bore 12 of us, 2 didn't survive, 10 survived. Well, that's interesting. My grandmother, oh my gosh, I'm the genealogist, and this number is wild. I think there was 13, with my grandmother's family, there was 13, maybe 14 born, and 3 died within 6 months of being a baby. One was a baby, no name, and I think there was 3 more that died under 6 months of age, which is a wild concept. But then of the remaining kids, there was like 9 or 10. I mean, I have it all in the genealogy thing, but wow. And believe me, what a wonderful, wonderful clan of people. So humble. So all incredibly humble. I've never seen any of them judgmental towards another human, ever. As a little kid going to visit them and just seeing my own grandma in her non-judgmental position in life, and then her brothers and sisters, just a wonderful group of very humble people. Never mad. Only in hindsight is it so obvious. And when my own grandmother, the last to leave the party, she had her daughter, my mom, at 18 years old. My mom had me at 18 years old. So my grandmother died at 93 just last year, the year before. And just to see at that event we had at the VFW hall and talk to cousins and, great aunts and uncles, and just talk about the humility of that family, they were like, wow, you're right. And I was like, it's just an amazing thing to observe, because they were very humble people. It still blows my mind. He's saying the same thing about how many children were born, which is blowing my mind. But that's the way it was at a certain time. And I'm talking about, if she died at 93 just now, so that, my mother was born in 48, so this would be 1929 or 30 she was born, my grandmother. So we're in the same ballpark of these large families that were just a very common thing. And of course, Catholics don't believe in birth control. I love this whole part right here. I might as well just repeat it. Well, sir, I believe that many have. I am not in a position to judge. I am not a judge of the experiences of others. Because if I say that my mother had me in a certain way and my niece had a child, 4 so far, in a different way, that because my mother bore 12 of us, 2 didn't survive, 10 survived, they're still in this world of ours, and my niece has 4 in a cesarean manner. If I said because I was born in a way that my mother bore me that all my children must be born that way or not be born, then I'm leaving the world of experience to the world of logic. And so that's stupid. So I can't put down as final this because it happened to me in this manner. It's the only way that it could happen to anyone else. If I have an obvious case, my wife gave birth in a normal way to our daughter, and my darling niece has given birth 4 times to 4 children in a cesarean manner. And yet they're all normal children, wonderful children. So to say a child can only be born in a certain way is stupid. So I will not state because I have written it as it happened to me. I must be honest with myself and tell exactly how it happened to me. I've gone out on a limb and told the day and the city, well, now, if you go out and say it happened to Neville in San Francisco on the 20th day of July of 1959, therefore, thereafter, only in the city of San Francisco can it happen. He's definitely talking about the promise because that's when he experienced the first mystical experience of the promise. Well, now, if you go out and say it happened to Neville in San Francisco on the 20th day of July of 1959, therefore, thereafter, only in the city of San Francisco can it happen, well, how stupid that would be! Exclamation point. But some people will take it that way and say it could only happen in San Francisco. No, I've told it as it happened to me to encourage everyone who will read the story that it's going to happen to everyone. Because I know my weaknesses, I know my limitations, and therefore, I know that he gives it to whom he will, even the lowliest among them, as we're told, the very lowliest in the book of Daniel 4:17. You don't have to be prominent and wise because the wisdom of this world is foolishness in the eyes of God. If you inherit God, you inherit his wisdom. So what is the wisdom of man? No matter how wise it appears to be and what he does in this world, when you are born from above and you are incorporated into the body of God and become one with God, everything on this level, well, you simply laugh your head off at the arrogance of man who thought himself pious, because it all is a pre-resurrection state. And you enter an entirely different world, and everything is different. And not a thing here is as it appears to be. So let no one tell you of holy men, forget them. Holy men and this sort of man, I get that question all the time. Have you ever heard of so-and-so, the very holy person? I run in the opposite direction, exclamation point. I've yet to meet what I call the holy man. What holy? You're told in Scripture, tape ends. Oh man. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful lecture. He started out as if it's going to be very law-rific, but he went really deep into the, you got the laws like the shallow end of the pool, then you got the promise, which is the deep end of the pool. And he kept going into the deep end of the pool, even though he was very practical in his law breakdown. What a wonderful, wonderful lecture. The Fundamental Sin, June 25th, 1965. And we're going to see you in the next one.